Hi Rohan. I remember my.
A new joiner, and Rohan, her colleague, discussed the updated BOP structure.
Hi Rohan. I remember my earlier conversation on the introduction of labor codes and changes in the BOP structure in line with certain tax exemptions. Can you help me with more details from income tax perspective?
Of course, Amrita, new Income Tax Act 2025 came into force with effect from the 1st of April 2026, replacing the old Income Tax Act 1961.
All right Rohan. How does the change in Income Tax Act 2025 affect my BOP?
The BOP structure has undergone some significant changes in line with Income Tax Act. Certain components have been introduced, while few have been discontinued to simplify the overall structure. As you may recall, our earlier BOP structure included these components: house rent allowance, leave travel allowance, food card, communication allowance, vehicle maintenance allowance, personal allowance, superannuation, and national pension scheme. In your revised compensation letter, the amount is allocated under house rent allowance, HRA, and/or conveyance allowance. This amount can be restructured in the revised BOP framework into the following components: house rent allowance, HRA, conveyance allowance, national pension scheme, NS, superannuation fund, C3B and above and equivalent grades, meal card, and communication card.
Rohan, do we have any tax optimization avenues in these BOP components? Could you explain them in detail?
Sure, Amrita, let me simplify it for you. You can refer to the table on the screen, which specifies the prerequisites, limits, and tax treatment under the old and new tax regime. I'll quickly walk you through the key highlights. There is no prerequisite for HRA, and the minimum limit is up to 5% of basic salary up to the BOP limit. It is taxable under new tax regime. Under old tax regime, the HRA tax benefit is calculated as the lowest of three amounts: the actual HRA received as declared in your BOP, the rent paid minus 10% of your basic salary, or 50% of basic salary for metro cities and 40% of basic salary for non-metro cities. Four additional cities, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, and Pune, have been included in the list of metro cities, along with Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata. Mandatory submission of rent agreement if the monthly rent exceeds 8,333 rupees. Conveyance allowance has no limit or prerequisites, as it is fully taxable component in both tax regimes. For NPS corporate PRAN, it is mandatory to have NPS account and PRAN. The minimum amount is 6,000 rupees per year and maximum 14% of basic salary. Under new tax regime, up to 14% of basic salary is non-taxable, while under old tax regime, up to 14% of basic salary can be allocated but non-taxable only up to 10% of basic salary. Superannuation fund for C3B and above and equivalent grades has no prerequisites, limited up to 15% of the basic salary and non-taxable under both regimes. If combined employer contribution to Provident Fund, NPS and Superannuation Fund is greater than rupee 7.5 lakhs per annum, it is taxable. For meal card, valid card details need to be updated in GESS. Maximum limit is up to 12,000 rupees per month and it is non-taxable under both regimes. For communication card, valid card details need to be updated in GESS. Maximum limit is up to 2,000 rupees per month and it is non-taxable under both regimes. Conveyance allowance is non-taxable for persons with disabilities if valid disability certificate is submitted. The tax exemption limits are 15,000 rupees per month for metro cities and 8,000 rupees per month for non-metro cities under both tax regimes.
Now that I understand prerequisites and limits for each of the BOB components, can you clarify what happens to my earlier defined BOB structure wherein I defined my superannuation, food card, HRA and communication allowance?
Sure, Amrita. If you had opted for superannuation earlier, these would be carried forward automatically and shown in TCS defined default amount. For all the revised BOB components, you will need to redefine them in GESS on or before payroll cutoff date of 10th of the respective month. However, only for June 2026, the date is extended till the 20th of June 2026. This structure will be visible under the employee defined amount.
Rohan, how would my BOB look if I opt for NPS?
Sure, Amrita. If you had opted for NPS earlier, these would be carried forward automatically and shown in TCS defined current amount. You can define the limits for each component under the employee defined amount. Please note that total under employee defined must match the total under TCS defined default amount.
Thanks, Rohan. Where can I declare my PRA in, and who determines the NPS contribution component?
That's a great question, Amrita. You can update your PRAN in Ultimatics. Only employees who have registered their PRAN under the NPS corporate model with HDFC pension and have declared these details are eligible to define the NPS component in BOB.
For meal and communication benefit, where can I check more details like the vendors and how to add my card details in Ultimatics?
You can find all of the details, including the list of approved vendors and step-by-step instructions, on the HR Policy Hub.
Thanks, Rohan. This clearly explains the BOB changes. I know what's mandatory, what's optional, what are the tax benefits I get, and where to update details.
You're welcome, Amrita. For the latest FAQs, please refer to the HR Policy Hub on Ultimatics.
So now we can see the FinFocus monthly calendar. This displays the activity which the employee services is performing on a monthly basis. The monthly calendar is shared through internal broadcast bulletin, and the activities covered from employee services is physical bank desk organized across TCS premises. We also organize PF transferring sessions for the EP joiners. Know and save your tax sessions to know the available tax saving option in either of the regimes. GSS claims telecom and meal card session covers the guidelines to apply for the meal and telecom card, also the guidelines for raising the claims. We also organize personal finance sessions from the empanel banks, various topics like digital fraud, will, trust, etc., and the guidelines and the eligibility of applying for the card. Meal card can be applied from ICICI or HDFC or Pluxee. The meal allowance has to be defined in the bouquet of benefits. The card details to be updated in GSS. Post that BOB allocation can be done, and on a monthly basis the respective amount will be loaded to the card. This amount or this allowance up to 12,000 per month is a tax-free amount for the associate. The amount in the meal card can be utilized for ordering food and related items and also to purchase the groceries. Employees are advised to use the meal card on a regular basis and monitor the balance to avoid rejection due to excess balance. Meal card from the previous organization is not valid in TCS. If you are a new joiner, your existing meal card from the previous employer is not valid in TCS. You are supposed to apply for a new card. Update screenshot shares the path to update your meal card. Communication card can be applied from ICICI or Pluxee. The tax benefit for communication card is up to 2000 per month. Associate has to update the card details in GSS. Post that, allocation of the amount to be done in bouquet of benefits. Up to 2000 per month can be loaded to the telecom card. This amount in the card can be utilized to repay mobile, internet, Wi-Fi, data card bills. This amount is exempted from tax. Up to 10,000 balance can be maintained in the card. Beyond that, the amount is paid back in the salary. To know more about the communication card, please refer to the policy on communication card in HR Policy Hub. Also, a screenshot shares the category under which the communication card needs to be updated. The process for applying for a meal card and telecom card has to be done through respective links only to avoid rejections. HDFC offers only the meal card. ICICI and Pluxee, they offer the multi-wallet card. The multi-wallet card can be used as a meal card. Process for applying for ICICI Bank multi-wallet card. So you have to apply through the currency services. Bank account holder, you are supposed to share an email ID to the TCS. Pointers to be new or design your bouquet of benefits.